Hello and welcome to another edition of Las Vegas Pitch Presents. Today I am with Michael Ring, broker owner, Go Global Realty. We're going to have a wide-ranging discussion today. I can't wait to dive in. You've got such a diverse background. First of all, before we got on, I was like, how did you get to Las Vegas? How long have you been here? So let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. I consider myself a native because I've been here for 23 years.
23 years.
Usually it's after 2 years you're considered a native here.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so I've been here for 23 years. I came here from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, I was in Pennsylvania. And before that, I was in the military and around the world. Why we call
the military?
Yes, that's why I call myself
Okay.
Go Global Realty.
Okay.
Because I have lived all around the world. I was in the Air Force and for 10 years. And I had a really rough job in the military.
Yeah.
Yes, I ran officers clubs. So literally my job in the
like
military was to throw parties.
Uh-huh.
Actually, Brandon should have that job.
Yeah, Brandon would be great at that
Great
job.
at that job.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so I ended up here. I was going to go work on cruise ships. So I had to come, I did the research because you know you're military, so you do your research.
Yes.
And the best job on a cruise ship was to be a casino dealer because they can't open up until they get into international waters. So you get a 2-hour to 3-hour rest before you have to at port. And since you're not actually part of the ship's crew in the sense, you don't have port duty. So you get to go out and enjoy yourself.
You go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm not stupid. I know how to do my research.
That was good.
Yeah, but I didn't get to do it because I met someone and she said if I go away for 6 months at a time, which I thought would be good for a relationship, she didn't, then she was going to break up with me. So I didn't do it. And I got back into mortgages and then back into real estate. And here I am.
And here you are. It's always a female. It's always an issue.
Yeah. We won't go that. That could be a whole
you love
show
them and hate them. But no, anyways, well, I'm so glad you're here today because
thank you for having me.
We've had a lot of fun over the last probably 6-8 months doing Las Vegas Pitch, seeing you there, and you have done so many different things. So you've been in the mortgage, you've got into real estate. I want to understand how you kind of transferred. So you were in mortgage first?
Real estate first.
Real estate first.
In Lambertville, New Jersey. Wave to everybody out in Lambertville, New Jersey if they ever watch. And I was the manager of a hotel there called the Inn at Lambertville Station. And my boss's wife was in mortgages, and I got into real estate. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to transition to where I could control my income and make my own money, since I was making my owner wealthy and not me. So that's how I transitioned into real estate. And me and her worked together, and then well, actually, it wasn't her. It was PNC Bank was holding a convention or conference at my hotel, and they recruited me off the front desk.
Right
to be honest, that's what it
was.
At
the front desk.
So I was an A-paper lender because in our language in mortgages, you have A-paper and then brokers. And so I was an A-paper lender for PNC Bank for private banking out of Princeton.
Okay, yeah.
And but I was doing real estate and then doing mortgages back in New Jersey at that time. You could do both. Mm-hmm. So I was doing both.
Wow. And you can't, not everybody can do that. Yeah. It's kind of a fine line between the real estate and the mortgage and the client and making sure you represent them.
Correct.
Yeah.
And luckily with real estate, you have a fiduciary responsibility. And so that has to take priorities. You have to take care of your client. And luckily with PNC Bank at that time, or PNC Mortgage, their division, they were also extremely ethical in their work. So it kind of blended very well.
Bank.
They required I couldn't do a loan and do the real estate in the same transaction before anybody else did that. And that was fine because I could take care of all my clients and refer them to other realtors if it was that situation or other loan officers if it was that. But with private banking, the banking at that time, the mortgage took priority because with private banking, it's a different kind of clientele.
Right.
So you have to think, I put the real estate more or less on side, just basically I did it as a referral business.
Right. So which one do you like better? Do you like real estate or mortgage better?
I walked
because of course I'm kind of partial.
Yeah, I walked into that one. I have to. I mean, in all honesty, and that's another problem with being ex-military. I'm very honest, even to myself. I prefer the mortgage side because I enjoy working with people and numbers and all that stuff. I love being a broker. Don't get me wrong, and I love my realtors. But as far as what I enjoy.
Right.
It's
on the day-to-day.
Right. Because I help people. Again, the phrase in the mortgage business is you sell the finance, not the house. So if I can help them get the financing, then they can get the house.
Right. Right.
And you know that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fun for me. I just the wisdom and sharing that wisdom
It's never
because
one day in either career.
there's a lot of financial illiteracy out there.
Correct.
And so it's just trying to educate people and make sure that they're getting into the right situation for them.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something I'm very passionate about, is the illiteracy. Unfortunately, in our education system in America, they don't teach. They're starting to do now. I'm seeing more of it.
Yeah.
But they didn't teach financial literacy. And that's why people have such debt problems and things like that. It's not their fault. They don't know.
Yeah.
They just get swept up into the advertisement and not understand how it can affect them, as you know.
And they don't teach that. They
No.
don't teach it.
No.
They don't teach about credit cards and FICO scores and how to, budget and checking accounts. It's very rare out there, and it's kind of DIY.
Right.
Do it yourself, learn on your own.
Right. And people feel ashamed to ask.
They
Even
do.
Loan officers,
They're embarrassed.
as we are, they're embarrassed. Yes, and they shouldn't be, because as we say, like we do in real estate and with mortgages, we do it all day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what we do. So just like I said, when you have mortgage or financial questions, it's good to ask Bill. I don't practice a mortgage. I'm licensed, but I don't practice that much because my owning 3 real estate companies kind of keeps me busy.
Yeah.
Okay. But I keep my license so that I can help when I do run. Unfortunately, illiteracy runs in also the mortgage loan officers education.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, I hate to say this, I don't do loans to make money. I do loans to help people.
Yes.
And so when it's not been profitable for the loan officer, they may not offer you the option that's best for the client. So having the knowledge, I can help the client out, say, hey, you really need to go find a new loan officer, because that one.
And I have a really good one for them if they ever need one.
Yes, I know someone.
Let's circle back into the real estate side, because
No
you
problem.
talk about owning 3 different brokerages.
Correct.
You've seen a lot of change, certainly in Las Vegas. We'll get into Las Vegas first. Tell us a little bit about Las Vegas real estate, where it's at, and where you think it's going to go.
Okay. First of all, Las Vegas real estate is unique to the country. I had to say, I've had my real estate license in New Jersey, Pennsylvania. I've done real estate in other states throughout the country, and Las Vegas is very unique.
It's awesome.
Right. It makes it a lot of
I
fun.
love it. I love
it's
it.
Not
Yeah.
boring. Ever
No,
boring.
no.
But as far as I see, and that being that Las Vegas is unique, you can't compare it to other markets, because we're our own market that's works on its own time frame, not the rest of the countries. So right now, a lot of people are worried that the market's going to, and by the way, they always worry about the market's going to crash, don't they? I watch your show, and you talk about it.
It's not crashing.
Yeah. First of all, there's too much equity in people's properties, just to throw it out there, what he said. If you do, by the way, if you're on YouTube or on his TikTok, which you should be, by the way, you should watch his videos, because he explains a lot about the market and how it works. You have a great understanding, and you do bring it down to a normal level to understand.
Well, thank you.
No,
Appreciate that.
I told you, I can't lie. Sorry, you didn't pay me and there's no check in the mail. But what I'm saying is that this market works differently than everywhere else. And we have so much growth going on right now that it's very stable. Now, with saying that, and I hope all my people are listening too in this, is that it's not going to go skyrocket. It's not going to crash. It's going to go up gradually, which is what we want as loan officers on that side. We want that. Believe it or not, on the real estate side, we want that. We don't like sharp increases or sharp drops, because everybody panics and doesn't do the right thing, and it screws up everything in the long run. When it's kind of steady and normal, everything works well.
It works well.
Appraisers can appraise. We can get things done on that type of thing.
I want to circle back. You talked about Vegas being a little bit different. Right now in this marketplace, the interesting thing about the United States is inventory is starting to rise in virtually every part of the country.
Except
Nevada, Las Vegas. It is down. Inventory is down 17% from a year ago.
Correct.
And that's going to bode well for values, correct?
And it'll stabilize the whole value. Inventory is going up. I'm going to, now you can correct me. And this is, by the way, I'm not an attorney. I do want to disclose this. I'm not a financial advisor. I am a broker and a loan officer. So I will get those 2 credits.
Yes.
Okay. But in my opinion, Like you were saying, that our inventory has been low for 10 years.
A long time.
Yeah. I was here when the inventory was 6 times what it should be. Okay. I survived 08 through 12 of 2000. So we have very low inventory, which is a problem. I wish our inventory would get a little bit higher, because then it could be a normal market. But at the same time, it's not going to make the prices jump up dramatically, because also the Fed, not my favorite people, are controlling the interest rates and keeping them artificially high. Interest rates should be lowered a little bit. They're not doing it because they're trying to make sure they can keep inflation in check. I don't disagree, but I don't agree. They're kind of a little too conservative in my taste.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want them to overreact, and then they cause a bigger problem.
And I think that's a good thing right now. I mean, we all want rates to go down. I mean, the affordability issues,
Correct.
Everybody's like, gosh, the payments are too high. I can't afford it. How can people buy real estate? Values have gone up. The values have gone steady. They're like not going way up. But I do think we're going to see really just this gradual decline. I don't think it's going to go. I don't think the interest rates.
Right.
The interest rates. Let me, thanks for clarifying. I think the interest rates are going to glide down. And I think over time that will make for a more normal, if you will, market.
I will make a prediction. Everybody's sitting there hoping.
I love predictions. This is a pie in the face prediction.
Yes.
So if it's wrong, we're going to go pie in the face.
If it's wrong, you'll want to put a pie in the face, because you'll be very happy.
Okay. What's the prediction?
Everybody's waiting for it to go back down to 2.95 or 3%. I'm sorry. I'll burst your bubble right now. It ain't going to happen. All right. It's going to go down, like you said, but it'll be in the low 5s, maybe artificially, because mortgage people have a way of controlling things, push it down to 4.99, but it's not going to go any lower than that right now in the next 3 years.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think normalized, we're going to probably see rates, conventional rates, somewhere between 5.5 and 6.5. And then I think FHA, VA will be more in that probably 5 to 6.
Agreed.
So a little bit.
And
better.
also, you remember, since I just found out he's close to my age, rates, my parents bought their house, they were paying 18.5% interest rate. When I got into the mortgage business, which was in 1990, I want to say 1999, 1999 or 1980. No, sorry, 1995. It was like 9.5%.
Yeah.
So I was happy when it got down to 7.
I know.
Here, everybody's panicking at 7.
We thought we hit the lottery, right?
Yeah.
This is awesome.
I could write loans like that,
Yeah. But I think that is good, and I don't think they should come down. I think that there's definitely a lock-in effect where a lot of people are still locked into their homes, and the FHFA just did a white paper, and they said 1.33 million homes were not sold because of the lock-in effect.
Correct.
And as the rates come down, gradually, that will start to release that inventory. Correct. And I think that will help supply and demand. Mm-hmm. And hopefully with the rates dropping and values not skyrocketing, I think that people will definitely be able to go out and buy.
I agree. Everybody, you just have to learn how to work within your means and buy what you can. People always want to have a house that's more than what they can afford. And they have to understand that's part of financial literacy, understanding what you can afford and accept it. Don't feel bad about it. Buy that house right now, because not buying it is actually hurting you more than buying it. Because if you buy the house right now, it may not be the house you want. You can hold on to it 5 years, build equity, get your finances more in line, and then go for the next house.
Right. So how do you use your equity? What is the best way to use it? Is it basically to keep the home and buy another home as an investment? Is it better to sell the home and move that equity into a new home? What's your thoughts on that?
And with that, it depends on your personal situation. That's where you need to talk to your financial advisor or loan officer, and to your realtor, and to, if you have a financial advisor, them as well. You need to consult everybody when you're making that decision, because there is no one answer that fits all.
No.
And sometimes it's good to pull your equity out of your property and pay off your debt if the debt is killing you and that you're paying too high anything. But the biggest problem with that, what is the biggest problem with that? I want to see if you can answer.
Tapping the equity?
No, say you took the equity out, you refinanced your home, pulled out the equity and paid off credit cards because you're paying 18, 22, or 23%. What happens?
Well, you're not leveraging your money.
Right.
Is this a trick question?
Yes, it is.
It's a
No,
trick
what does
question.
people normally do? They run up the credit cards again.
Yeah, they go back and spin it again. They spin it again.
They repeat their
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
If you pay off your, you may disagree with me this, but if you do use your equity to pay off your credit cards and you pay them off and you don't reincur the debt again, then you are helping yourself to better, and then you can go buy your next investment property again.
Yeah.
Because again,
discipline is really a big key.
Self-discipline is very hard, I find, in people today.
But it's interesting because I'm working with a buyer actually in California that's going to be moving here. They're thinking about I know there's a lot of people doing that.
Yes. Tell me about
it.
it.
And they're thinking about keeping that home in California. They can afford to keep both homes, but they're very nervous about not having a reserve after they buy here and keeping their mortgage payment at a level that they want. Correct. And I call it the sleep factor, not this Steph Curry factor, but the sleep factor, where they essentially, if they can sleep better at night, then use the equity to get the lower payment, have money in the bank. And so that's, to me, is really one of the things that I like. Have money in the bank for a rainy day. And that's where reserves is huge. And so for me, I think sometimes it is better to move that equity to the new house as opposed to buying two investments. Leverage-wise, wealth-wise, if you've got the acumen, if you've got the ability to withstand that risk, go for it. But some people just don't.
And that's true.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that they may want to do is sell that home, buy their investment home here in Nevada. I hope I said that right. I don't want to insult anybody from Nevada. Is that, the taxes are lower here. There's no state income tax. So there might be a benefit for doing it that way. You have to look at everything. Also, your property is somewhere else. And if you're one of those people that has to be very hands-on, it may, like you said, not be able to sleep because they're worried about the property, even though they have a property manager, which I manage over 400 properties here in Vegas. Right. They can't handle it. Most of my owners live other parts of the world in the country. So they are all right with not being near their investment. Right. But some people, like my mother when she was alive, that would bother her not be able to go see it, touch it, feel it. And she'd always be worried about it, which then she couldn't sleep. Right. So she would make a terrible absentee owner, as we call them in the business.
And that's hard. So let's talk a little bit about California moving to Las Vegas, right? There is a huge migration over this way. Correct. Do you see that continuing? Do you see it slowing down? Certainly, COVID had some influence over that. True. How do you see that going forward with California?
Well, I'm going to say a bad thing. Governor Newsom was our best realtor for Nevada. And that's nothing against Governor Newsom. I'm just saying.
Well, it kind of is, but that's okay.
So, but as to answer your question, I think it's slowed down.
Yeah.
Okay. The amount of people that are coming over, part of the rush was because of COVID. Our restrictions were less than California's.
Yes.
A little more reasonable to a point. And I think it's going to continue because of, unfortunately, California's financial situation is not very healthy. Right. And that helps people moving over here. We also have people moving from Arizona, and I have, large, I don't know why, coming from Utah. So we have three different sources of people selling their properties or whatever in their states and moving here. Now, one, they get a higher price for their house where they're at. So they're able to buy two, or like you said, and actually most of them do what you said, is they sell their house, they put money in the bank, so they have that thing just in case something else happens where they can't work or whatever. So they're being smarter. They're getting, that's helping the banks too, because it's putting more money into the system that they can lend out at a lower interest rate. So everything kind of ties together, guys. Right. That's what I'm seeing as a trend. But I also seeing a trend, because now I'm going to transition since you set it up, is a lot of my clients are buying overseas. Yes. As a destination for, believe it or not, exiting. Yes. If they're not happy here, they can go live in Portugal, Italy, Mexico, which is where I own my other brokerage in Cancun. They're looking for places to have as a second home, a vacation home, but and it really freaked me out at first when they told me, an exit strategy.
To basically get into a situation where they can live the life that they want to live.
Correct.
Enjoy the beach. So tell me, you have Go Global, which is a global real estate brokerage.
Correct.
You then just opened up in Mexico.
Correct. Go
What
Global
was
Realty Mexico.
what drove that? What did you see was happening in Mexico, and why are people they're a little bit concerned about buying there?
They always have a concern because there's also a lot of misconceptions.
Is it just education?
Yes. If you do your homework, you'll have no problem with buying in Mexico. But people don't do their homework. They watch the TikTok videos or the news that sensationalizes something. As I have clients ask me, isn't it dangerous in Mexico? The cartel are going to kidnap you or whatever. And I'm going, it's more dangerous living in Las Vegas, being honest. Or even in Charlotte, North Carolina is more dangerous than Playa del Carmen, Tulum, Cancun. There are areas in Mexico that are not safe. Don't buy there. Do your homework. Okay, it's not hard. As far as buying, anybody, just like in America, anybody can buy here as long as you're not a terrorist. In the United States, I used to call the United States the biggest Kmart because it was easy to go in and buy and walk out. Anybody that a foreign national can own here in the United States. Same thing as in Mexico. They just have a vehicle if it's near a beach or a border, and that is called a fideicomiso. And I know my assistant over there is probably squinching on my Spanish. It's not very good. My English is not very good, so go with that. And that was my first language. But it is, you can own on the beach. You can own in a border town if you want to. Like I have a lot of family that lives in TJ. I'm not Mexican, married into a family of Mexicans. That's why I have a large family of that part. But you can buy in TJ. You can Tijuana. Sorry, I shouldn't use initials. Or you can buy, on the beach in Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah.
Or now you can own in your name in like San Miguel Allende, which is near Mexico City, 3 hours from Mexico City. As long as it's 60 miles away from the beach, 100 miles away from a border, you can own in your own name. With the fideicomiso, all that is a trust between the bank, which doesn't have ownership. They're just like
third party
managing it. Okay, for your behalf.
Okay.
Or you can open up a Mexican corporation that an American corporation owns. You can do that in the United States. I have a lot of my foreigners that have a Japanese corporation that owns a U.S. corporation. Not that expensive and can easily be done.
So you opened it up down there.
Yep.
Did you just see a need down there for this type of brokerage, particularly in the area that you're in? Because it's a beautiful. And tell me how many projects you're working on.
I work with currently about 21 developers between Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and Tulum, which everybody hears in the news about Tulum with the new airport opening.
It's awesome.
Stuff, yeah. They are only Cancun and Tulum, which is the different ends of my spectrum,
right,
are only an hour and a half difference.
Okay.
So in the middle is Playa del Carmen, which is where I like to work out of. Even though my office is in Cancun, I work out of Playa del Carmen.
Playa del Carmen.
It's easy to walk. It's very family normal. I mean, Cancun. I'm going to be honest. Cancun is a party town. Okay. Playa del Carmen is for the family. There's like 6 adventure parks in the area. Tulum, I'm going to insult some people here. Tree huggers. If you're into nature, if you love meditation, if you love being with nature, that is Tulum. I mean, there's so many trees. There's more trees than people in that town, city. It's very oriented towards people that are in touch with nature. So those are your 3 lifestyles. And so anywhere between those, you can find what you want.
All within that hour and a half.
Yeah.
Period.
And Tulum just opened up their new international airport. And I hear a rumor, I don't have fact on this, it's a rumor, that Southwest is going to start flying there. But right now, Delta, American, and Spirit are flying into Tulum.
So when did that actually open?
It opened in
because I've been hearing about
February.
February, okay.
But it didn't get its AA, did I get it right? FAA approval for international flights until the end of March.
Oh, okay.
So, like I said,
so this is like of last year. This
No,
year?
this year.
This year.
Yeah,
So,
welcome to Mexico, my friend.
well, because this is the end of March.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
They've been waiting for that piece
We've
of
been
paper.
waiting for a long
They
time.
got approved.
Okay, so they got it.
Yeah, they got approved in January, but you have to have the certificate.
Yeah.
And that, of course, welcome to Mexico takes a little while to get to them.
And does that area still have a lot of potential for more growth and more
Yes.
opportunities, or is it?
It does. It does, but there is a restriction in the sense of they're very cautious not to ruin Tulum, to keep its natural thing. So there's a lot of building restrictions in Tulum. In even Playa del Carmen or even Cancun, there's some very interesting building restrictions. Like if certain trees that are sacred to the Mayans, they will have to build around the tree, even a highway. That one tree, all of a sudden everything else is cleared, but that one tree, there's going to be a curve around it to get by, and you see it all through. It's very nice. And again, the fact that they respect the Mayan culture is very, good. Copa, which is just outside of Tulum, is going to have the largest architectural excavation in Mexico. It's larger than Chichen Itza. It's larger than some of the other ones that are in the area. They've only uncovered I think 10% or 15% of it. And they're working on it in the next 10 years. We'll be uncovering the rest of it. Yeah, you have to understand down in Mexico, the jungle takes back if you don't use it. It takes it back. So it takes a while to take it back from the jungle.
Okay. So people investing, right?
Yes.
They can invest as an investor in the United States, certainly buy investment properties.
Not just the United States, Canada, Germany, if you're listening, Italy, no problem.
Well, I'm going somewhere with this. Okay. So they can buy there, and a lot of people are doing Airbnbs, and there's restrictions with all that kind of stuff. So they're trying to figure out where to invest their money.
Yep.
That area that you have in Mexico, Tulum, Playa del Carmen, Cancun, is that a good place for them to really have an investment property, Airbnb?
Yep.
Do you see values going up in that area as well?
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
That's why I'm there.
There you go.
That was my answer. I went down 3 years ago, saw the opportunity. Very few, I'll just put it this way, very, very few restrictions on Airbnb, not like in the United States, not like in Las Vegas, which I think is the most restricted in the country. On short-term rentals, we don't say Airbnb, that's a brand, but short-term rentals.
Short-term rentals, okay.
Yes, short-term rentals. Julie Davis would be happy I said that. She was my instructor at one of my classes on short-term rentals. But most people don't know that's why we say Airbnb. It's just like Kleenex.
Yep.
But what I wanted to say is it is very easy to do business there. Right now, the number one spot in the world, for Airbnbs, it just got rated by 3 different magazines and stuff, is Cabo San Lucas.
Really?
That's the highest ROI, return on investment, right now. I feel, and I think Playa and Tulum came in number 3 or 4 there, and that's good because that's growing.
Right.
So it's very easy to go down and buy there. It's very easy to do business there. My company does short-term rental management. We're waiting for approval of our name for that division of our company, but I'll let it out right now. We're going to be calling it Global Stay. So that's going to be a brand, Global Stay, for when I do also Italy and other countries and Dubai in the future. But it's short-term rentals, and I can manage your property there. And my biggest favorite book in the world was Raving Fans.
Yep.
And I know you know what that is.
Absolutely.
And if you ever get to read the book, you'll understand. It's not a hard read, by the way, but it does focus point is about service. And that's what I feel. I'm a property manager here in Las Vegas. I don't manage too many short-term rentals because there aren't very many legal ones. And I only do legal ones, so don't call me if it's not licensed. But they're missing the hosting part of managing a short-term rental. They don't understand. Regular property managers, it's different doing a year lease person versus a guest staying in your property. And that's a hard thing for people to conceive the difference. But there's a big difference. I used to manage hotels for Hilton and Marriott. That's where I brought my background in hospitality into short-term rentals.
Okay.
And since we can't do it very well in Vegas because of our rules,
why not go to Mexico?
Why not go to Mexico where it's easy? So what people have a hard time understanding, like you said, everybody can buy. What is hard to do in Mexico, and it's not, you can't do it, it's just very difficult, is getting mortgages.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yes.
Is there financing in Mexico? Is it all private? What kind of a down payment do they need to put how would you recommend they go about financing something in Mexico?
Good question.
Yeah, I know.
But it's a difficult question.
Yes.
The answer is yes, you can finance property in Mexico. Is it easy? No. One, they discriminate against people like me and you. At our age, if me and Bill or I want to get a mortgage down in Mexico with a Mexican bank,
They would look at our lifespan?
yes, they do.
They do. Okay.
So you know how long our loan we could do right now?
2 years?
No.
I'm just
You were closer. They go to 65. The time to 65 is added in 10 years. So I could do a 12-year loan or
Okay.
11-year loan. You can do
No,
a 12-year loan.
year. Okay.
So if you can all do the math, you can figure out our age.
Yes.
And that's how they do it there, because they don't want to own the property when you pass away or anything. So that's their requirement. But there are companies like Moxie, like Intercam, which is a Spanish bank that operates in Mexico, that offer American-style loans, I'm going to call it that way,
Okay.
in Mexico, which have slightly better rates, but not that much better, okay, just because it is Mexico. But let's first talk about the down payment. Average down payment for a Mexican loan is 25% owner-occupied or investor.
Okay.
All right. Sometimes, depending on your situation, it might be 30% down. And then on the Mexican banks, it's a variable rate. They don't do a 30-year fixed.
Okay.
It
just goes up and down with the market.
With the market. So that's the negative of the situation. And if you were doing, say you were, where'd Matt go? He left. If we're doing a, someone's like 25 or 30, where they would do a 30-year loan, there's a balloon in 15 years.
Okay.
So you have to refinance.
You have to refinance within that time.
So those are the type of loans that the Mexican banks offer. Moxie and Intercam offer 30-year loans, fixed rates. The rates are a little bit high compared to us in the United States, because it's a higher risk for them. It is harder for them in Mexico to foreclose. They still can, but it's much more complicated than our foreclosure procedures. So they offer 30-year loans, but they're usually fixed for 10 or 15 years. I think Moxie offers a 30-year fixed, but it is hard to qualify. You have to have like a 720 credit score minimum. You put down 30%. Mm-hmm. But do understand, by the way, I do want to point, because a lot of people say 30%. If you're buying a new construction down there, they're going to require you to put 30% down anyways. Yeah. So it's kind of like covered in that type thing. And they don't do cash out loans. No. So that's unheard of.
That's another thing. And the other thing that a lot of people can do too is, because of the equity that they've built in their homes here in the United States, they could actually do a HELOC, home equity line of credit, to pull cash out, pay cash down in Mexico. They could do a cash out refinance, which maybe not, because rates are probably pretty low where they're at right now. But a HELOC is probably the best alternative that they could do it. And then just one quick question in regards to Mexico, and then we're going to move forward on predictions.
Okay.
But if they bought the property in Mexico, is it hard to sell? What's the selling time if they want to exit?
That's a good question. Most people don't ask me that question. That's a valid question. It is a little harder to sell. It's very similar to the United States. It's a used property, as they say. Mm-hmm. It goes on the market. They don't have an MLS like we do. The realtors are all independent, and they don't share information. So if you don't pick the right real estate company down there, you probably are going to be very limited on who the buyers are going to be for the property, because they want to do both sides of the transaction. I operate down there like I operate here. It's not a requirement to operate like that. So I share with the other realtors down there. They think I'm stupid, but I believe in taking care of my client, getting the property sold.
It gives you broader base
Thank you.
Of people to buy the property.
Correct. And I do want to go back on one thing you said about financing. Do you do reverse mortgages?
We do.
So they can do the reverse mortgage on here and buy their investment property down there. They also could buy it through their self-directed IRA, if you'd like to touch on that.
You could absolutely do the self-directed IRA and use those funds to buy it. And I actually have a self-directed IRA myself. I do.
Oh my God.
And I bought real estate that way. Yes. The other thing too is, a lot of people may have a 401k. So they could get a 401k loan. They're basically paying themselves back, but use that at an interest rate that's goes to yourself,
Yes.
and then use those monies obviously to bring it down to Mexico and buy.
Power
So-
of leverage is amazing if you only know what you're able to do with it. Meaning, a lot of people have the 401ks because their company gave it to them. It sat there for 20 years. They don't realize they can utilize that money.
Yeah,
and
it's just
make it
sitting
work
there.
for you.
Yeah.
And it still stays. You can't touch the money. It stays within the system. That's what most of the problem I have a hard time explaining, especially with self-directed IRAs. Yes, you control the money, but you can't use it to go shopping or go, thing. Also in that and I'm one again about rules. You can't use the property for your own use. There's 2 weeks, I think, a year you can go down there legally.
Check it out.
Make sure everything's okay. Check your flowers, whatever. And then the rest of the time it has to be available to rent.
Yeah.
And even if it's empty, you can't technically use it. That's the way I would phrase it that way.
So if you do it that way, it's true investment property. It's not for personal use.
And depending on how you have your self-directed IRA set up, it can be before taxes or after taxes. So it can be tax-free income developing inside. Am I correct?
Yes.
I'm not a financial advisor, and I don't play one on TV.
And the funny thing though is that because we've been doing real estate and mortgage and all that stuff for so long, you just kind of naturally pick these things up.
Well, people
and
use
you
it.
have
You
some
ask them how
wisdom.
they do it.
So I would highly welcome any calls if I can point you in the right direction to go anywhere. Michael here and myself or other people to help you certainly can help. Let's go into predictions.
Okay.
2024, rest of the year, Las Vegas real estate. Is it going to continue to go up? Number one. And then number two, where will interest rates, mortgage rates be at the end of the year?
Well, people say I look like Bill Gates, but I don't have my crystal ball.
I thought you were going to say Bill Gaylord.
No, I don't look that good. Sorry. But as far as real estate prices are going to go up steadily, not jump up dramatically. The summer, it's going to look like it jumped up dramatically because we always have a slow start at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
If you look at, and again, history is your friend. You look back and see what's over the years. This is an election year. So prices are going to go up on the housing, but it's not going to go up. I mean, I'm going to say probably 10% over the year average, maybe 15 because we did last year. I think we did over 10.
I think that's aggressive, Michael, but that would be kind of interesting. I mean,
Well,
it's your prediction, not mine.
It's my prediction.
I think that's pretty good.
And no pie in the face if I'm wrong on this one. But the reason I'm saying this is historically, and you know this from election year, interest rates are pushed down by the present administration. And that'll allow people to buy more houses. They've been holding off, waiting for those interest rates to drop down. So a great time to refi is going to be this year. I say my favorite time to do that when I do loans is I think it's October or September, October when Yom Kippur is. There is a dip for a couple of days interest rate for that. I'm trying to think. It's going on right now in Dubai. What's the holiday right now for the Muslims? I'm missing in my mind. My apologies when this happens.
I thought you had a photographic memory.
I have a photographic memory for.
We're going to have to talk
houses,
about that.
Not for reading. Ramadan. Thank you.
Ramadan.
Thank you for stalling for that to come out of the back of my head.
Uh-huh.
Ramadan. Right now, that's why interest rates are kind of heading down a little bit, is because of Ramadan. If you look every year during Ramadan, they have to put their money aside because they have to do their religious practices. And the same way with Yom Kippur, but Yom Kippur is very short.
Mm-hmm.
Ramadan is
longer.
And so that's usually when we take advantage of
this is all new info for me. I had no idea.
You didn't?
No.
I'm surprised.
It's good.
No, but if you look at history and what happens with rates, no matter what happens with the market, there's always a shift during those two holidays.
Okay.
Just FYI.
One last question.
Yes.
Is your photographic memory a blessing or a curse?
Now, I'll just let you know my photographic memory. Okay. But no, my photographic memory is on house plans, floor plans. Like I said to you, I was like, when he was taking me, this is the wrong house.
Right.
Because I went through your front yard where you went up to the main house during the Christmas party.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the thing that I memorize is floor plans, and it's because of my eyesight. When I don't have my glasses on, I have to know where everything is. I know where everything is in this room when I walk around without my glasses on because I already looked at it and memorized it.
So
that's where my photograph.
That's where your photo.
I can tell you the layout of my first house I ever sold back 27 years ago.
Yeah.
30? Oh God, I'm old.
Well, Michael, this has been so much fun. I really appreciate you coming.
Hang on,
We'll have to do it
you
again.
caught me on that. What do you predict, Mr. Financier, on what the mortgage rates are going to do in the next 6 months? And what is the real estate market in Las Vegas going to do in the next 6 months?
So my prediction for real estate market is we are going to go up around 5% this year in Vegas. And I think it's going to be slow and steady. I think we're going to see maybe a tinge of a little slight dip. I'm starting to see some price reductions. So I think that it's going to go down. Part of it depends on the seller motivation. So I think it's going to be more 5% on the appreciation. And then mortgage rates, I believe that they're going to be around 6.5% on the 30-year at the end of the year. And I think on the FHA, VA, they'll be right around 6%.
Okay.
So that's my prediction.
On that thing, I would say it's going
That's
to be
pretty
6
conservative
and a quarter.
too. 6 and a quarter.
6.5, go down to 6 and a
Okay.
quarter.
Okay. I like
With
it.
some creative mortgage people, you know what I'm
With
talking
points.
about, coming up with 5.99 to get
Uh-huh.
you, just like the builders are doing right now. And by the way, read the fine print, and you'll see how they get there.
Right.
But that's what I see going on. And you said 5 and I said 10, so it'll be interesting. We'll have to have another show at the end of the year talking about who was right and wrong, because I know that Robert has it all on tape right now, and you guys are having it live, right?
We're having it live, but I love it. And you know, it's funny because I saw our friend Matt come through the door there in the mirror. It was great. Matt, you're famous now. You're on Las Vegas Pitch.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
and by the way, everybody, go to my YouTube at Go Global Real Estate. Mexico, is it, Jeanette, for our YouTube? Go Global Realty, not YouTube, TikTok.
Oh.
Yeah, or actually, better yet, guys, go to our Facebook page and watch Matt show you through a house. He's now become
an expert at that.
Yeah, social media artist, because he really gets into showing houses through Jeanette's videoing. So look for that. Follow both of us on everything. I want all my people, when we put this out, make sure you follow Bill on his TikTok.
O.Gaylord.
Yeah,
it's like
it's not hard.
Gaylord, you know,
Oh,
you're at it again.
Oh my God.
So anyways, well, Michael, thanks so much for
thank you.
today. That was a lot of fun.
I appreciate
We'll have to do it again.
Yes.
And we'll see you next
Well,
time.
that's if everybody wants me back. You let them know if you want me
Vegas.
back. I want honesty. Don't